Well, hey, welcome back. I'm really, really excited to have my friend Peter here. Peter Brissette, you are just a whiz at all things websites. You've seen it all. Well, actually, maybe you haven't seen it all because you got surprised by a phishing scheme last week
Yes.
that attacked
Yeah.
you or attacked your clients. But you've
Yeah.
seen nearly everything
A
when it comes
lot.
to websites.
Yes. That's for
So
sure.
I'm thrilled to have you here to talk to all of the folks listening here. Most of whom are thinking about writing a book. They've got a book that's in the works, or they already have a book and they're figuring out what to do with their online presence. And we all know in today's day and age that the website is the hub that every brand needs to have. So maybe tell us just a little bit more about you and, how you got surprised by someone in Nigeria last week.
Yeah. Yeah, you bet. Yeah. So, around it's been around 20 years ago or so, I built this little website and I was like, oh, this is awesome. I got a website. And to me, it was like the field of dreams. Like if you build it, they will come. And I built this little website and nobody showed up. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, how does this actually work? Like, anybody can throw up a domain and throw up a website, but do you want to actually get traffic? Are you going to sell something on there and all that other stuff? So that sent me down a rabbit hole of figuring out, how does Google work and what is search engine optimization and how do you even do that? And what's keyword research? Just all that stuff. And um, paid for, some expensive you know, courses and things that were crap, and paid for some things that were good, as well. And then started building some other sites and seeing how things work. So a lot of it was just kind of self discovery and figuring these things out. And then I thought, well, maybe I could do this for other people too. Like maybe I could build sites for them. And so one thing kind of led to another, and I did a couple free projects for folks just to work through the process and see if I could do it, and then started charging for it, and that's you know 260 some websites later. We're still building
Wow.
websites and have built them on just about any platform that you can imagine or think at one time or another, and figured out a lot of wrong ways to do things and made plenty of mistakes along the way, but I learned a lot of things. So love working with small businesses in general, and working with the business owners, um, and and then kind of a really big category for us for a long time is kind of that speaker, author, coaches, consultant category, and it's very it's a very personal, very direct, kind of relationship when you're working with those type of clients and trying to build out what they want to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And yeah, so you've seen a lot of different things. You want to give us the quick version because I'm sure everyone's like, what did he get from Nigeria last week?
Oh yeah, right.
Um, because you've seen a lot, and this was one thing. So maybe if you're listening to this, just if your
Yeah.
spidey sense goes up a little bit when you receive an invoice or are sending out invoices, pay
Yes.
attention.
Yeah, and really looking at, if someone says they're a company you're used to working with, make sure that like that email address is actually from them. And if it's coming from a generic Gmail account and you're used to working with a company, um, I would question that. Forward that email to a person that would know before you click on any links or do anything. And yeah, I mean, i- in the last couple weeks, I've never had my clients been directly contacted as if it was me to try to get them to pay for something that basically scammed them out of money. but make it look like it was me trying to scam them out of money.
Gosh.
And yeah, that's the first time that's happened. I mean, everybody gets the generic scam emails and that kind of stuff, but this was very specific as our company brand and
Mhm.
our clients. And uh, you know, what you have to do is be aware and educate your clients and educate people on what's happening, and get people to pay attention and open lines of communication with you. Um, because ultimately, most of these folks are who knows where. You really don't have much of a recourse on what you can do and with them. So, yeah,
Yeah.
be
It's
careful.
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. I think what you said about, like, if you're used to getting something from someone in one way, but then something suddenly changes, or they're
Yes,
using verbiage that doesn't sound like you,
yes,
uh, and things are starting to sound crazy or whatever. Like, sometimes
yes.
there's
Or
some power.
emergency.
Right, yeah. There's a lot of power in, like, hopping on a phone call or a Zoom
Yep.
call where you can actually see, oh
Yes.
yeah, that is the same Peter that I've seen on my kickoff meetings, and I recognize
Yep.
his voice, and just all of those things versus email can sometimes feel the most efficient, but sometimes
Yes.
that extra little step can go a long way. So you can
Yep.
never be too careful.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about websites, because
Yeah.
authors, we write the book, we've got this great message, but and I think a lot of authors, they realize they need a website, but it's kind of an afterthought for some.
Hmm.
Um, at what point in the process do you feel like an author could or should have a website, and how do you think about positioning those? Is it
Yeah.
just about the book? Is it about the author? How do you tend to approach those?
Well, I'm going to give you my opinion, and I think, and I can give you a couple of good examples, of bigger authors out there. What you really see, in particular, talking nonfiction type books, right?
Mhm.
That this ultimately is about building you as an expert, you
Mhm.
as the authority on a particular subject and topic.
Yeah.
And that positions you then to do what are the other things you want to do to be able to make money. So, for a lot of nonfiction authors, it's really not about, trying to make money on the book. You know, hopefully you make some money on your book, but it's what does that book open up for you in terms of opportunity? So with the website, I think it's way more important to have the website be more about the author, the personal brand, and that also be the place where they can get the book. But it's the place where they get everything. So they learn about the author, who the author is, why did the author write this book, what's their background, what's their history, and really, getting a better idea there. And what else does this author have? Like I find when I read a good book, like, I wanna know more, like, I want like, "Oh, you talked about this one thing, like, how does that work? Do you have a checklist? Do you have, something else, a tool that I can use that will, help me do this?"
Yeah.
And, so, I'm kinda I get excited about the author, and I wanna know more, I wanna engage with that author, beyond the book.
Yeah.
And so, I think I'll give you one example. James Clear, um,
Mhm.
Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
So, he has tons of resources that he talks about in that book. And he's got a couple books now, but, uh, his website is jamesclear.com. That's where you go
Yeah.
to get everything about James Clear. And he's got his story there, his history, and then all the other things that, you know, people want to engage with can engage there.
Yeah.
With him. So I think that's really where you should start. You don't need to have a book even written or published to start that. Like, get the website out there, start putting things,
Yeah.
there's a lot of ideas that an author has. I mean, folks that are typically authors are writing all the time. They're writing all different kinds of ideas. So
Yeah.
if you can start building that through, your blog and start building followers, start building an email list, ahead of time, so much about marketing books, of course, uh, you know, but I think authors start marketing their books too late.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like, they don't have a list. Like, oh, I got a book now. I
Mhm.
need to sell books. Okay, where's your email list?
Yeah.
Like, so, you could start that a year before you launch a book, 2 years before you launch your book,
Yeah.
right? And start building a list, start building some followers, start talking about your ideas way before you even have a full book idea fleshed out,
Yeah.
to kind of see what are people actually interested in? What are people what are problems there that I'm going to solve with this book, and how does that really relate to people,
Mhm.
and begin to build that following, because if you have 500, 1,000 people on your email list and they've been engaging with you and they like your content, they probably will buy your book,
Right.
like, right off the bat. Like, if you want to hit that bestseller deal, in that first week when you release it, that that email list is going to be, or do pre-sales and all that kind of stuff that you can do. So I say, if it's something that you're probably going to do, you probably feel pretty confident you're going to do a book at some point. Start building your personal brand, and you can start that with a very simple website branded around you as the author. This is me. This is the stuff I'm working on, and then very easy to add your book, your newsletter, other resources. If you're going to be a consultant or a coach, you can have that information there. If you're going to be doing, everybody wants to sell a course. Great. Like,
Yeah.
all that can happen right there, on your website as well. So that really is that becomes the core. That's your branding, your
Yeah.
social media, all that stuff. But your website's where things happen. That's where transactions take place, whether
Yeah.
that's signing up on something, downloading something, um, if you're going to eventually sell things directly through the website, all that kind of stuff. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm I should write a book about this.
You probably should. Well, I mean, I think it's full of it's just such a good reminder that you can never start too soon.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things when you said like people probably wait too long to market. I mean, I see that time and time again. I've had people come to me, 2 weeks before their book launch, and they're just now starting to think about their marketing. And it happens more times than not. Honestly, I've seen a lot of authors that launch their book without really a marketing strategy. I think that
Mm.
happens way more than we would like to see, considering how much work goes into a book.
Oh, right.
And
Right.
the website is just one thing that you can start building really as soon as you have the confidence that this book is going to happen. You could put it out there to the world. I know a
Yep.
few people who actually have their whole book cover designed before the manuscript is done, because
Yeah.
they get so inspired with the first book and then the second book. They know exactly it's going to be a sequel, so I'm going to call it this. They already have some of
Yep.
that figured out. On the
Yes.
back end, I also come across a lot of people that, they write the book, and this was me with my book. I wrote my book. I knew what I wanted it to be about for the most part, but I did not know what I was going to call it until the very end.
Uh,
So for me, I couldn't design a front cover necessarily until the end.
yes.
But some
Yeah.
people do it reverse,
Yes.
especially if you do it that route where you've got the cover figured out to start. You could get
Mhm.
started. And to your point too of, and I'm in full agreement of this, even if you don't even have your book ready yet, you don't know what it's going to be called, but you have some ideas around a certain subject matter, and
Yes.
hey, I am going to write something soon. It's not finished. It's still just between me and myself and I, like,
Mhm.
but I need to
Yeah.
start building out my website and
Right.
my personal brand. And I know I've got these things coming. The world may not know yet, but I can start gathering people on my email list,
Yep.
getting people into my ecosystem, help them see some blogs or see some other content and get a
Yeah.
taste of who I am. And a lot of people wait until the book is done to think about the website, and you can actually do it in reverse.
Yeah. Totally. Well, and I think, it's when you have a lot of ideas and maybe you kind of have this core knowledge, right? Core expertise.
Yeah.
Um, but there's so many different ideas off of that. Not all the ideas are going to land in the book. And
Mhm.
so, using blog content and social media, to play out those ideas, like flesh out some of those ideas and thoughts and get people's reactions and see
Mhm.
what people resonate with. And, and so much of building a personal brand is about, one side is finding people who are part of your tribe and
Yep.
eliminated the people that aren't. Not everybody's going to be a fan.
Yeah.
And so, you know, share your ideas regardless of, people's opinions. Some people aren't going to like your ideas.
Yeah.
That's awesome because a lot of people are going to like your ideas and the right people are going to like your ideas. And so those are the people that you want to continue to build and grow and develop. But it takes all that takes time and hard work.
Mhm.
Even, just talking general social media marketing, we both have had clients over the years. So like, okay, I want to start promoting a brand or a product or something through social media. It's like, great. How many followers do you have? I have like 100 on Facebook.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Like, because we need some time and some energy and effort
Mhm.
to go, oh, okay, let's get it to 1,000. 1,000 is nice, but we need 10,000. Like,
Yeah.
what's it going to take to get to 10,000 followers on a particular social media account? And that's
Yep.
hard work. That
Yeah.
that's hard work. It's not easy. Um, but that bases that foundation then when you go, okay, I've been sharing a lot of ideas, we've been talking about a lot of different things, I've done some edutainment. Now I want you to buy something.
Mhm.
Way easier to sell to 10,000 than to 100.
Mhm.
But we think, oh, it's social media, you just turn it on and it happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. So it's, yeah, and that kind of stuff I really uh I encourage people to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk,
Yeah.
just his thoughts and his ideas of, building audience and building followers
Mhm.
and the amount of work that it takes. And you know people talk about, oh, Gary Vee, you're an overnight success. He's like, no, it wasn't. It took me 10 years before
Mhm.
I had success. 10 years of working
Yeah.
hard before it paid off. So I think that kind of idea, um it's it, it appears so often that people are just successful and like
Right.
they just showed up and they did a thing and then they were successful. And that's actually very rare. It happens,
Right.
but it's very rare that it happens that way. It almost always is a lot of hard work in the front end,
Mhm.
building audience, building followers, and especially if you want to actually, there's self-publishing, and then what if you want to actually have a publisher, pay you to write a book?
Mhm.
Well, they're going to want to know how many emails do you have in your email list? What's your social media following?
Mhm.
Are you speaking? Are you out on the speaking circuit? Like, what's your audience to be able to actually sell this book to make money?
Right.
And so that's where the actually hard work is to make money, is building the audience.
Yeah.
And so the website is the centerpiece to do that. So yes, you use the social channels to reach out to do those things, but you're driving everything back to your website. And most of this is not going to happen from search engine optimization. There's millions and millions of websites. Your brand new website that you just built is not going to rank on page one. It's probably not on page one, and definitely not at the number one spot in Google.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Again, that takes a huge amount of work and effort to get there. And
Mhm.
there's millions of websites that are in front of you that have been putting that work in. So you got to create the audience, you got to drive the traffic, but make your website the best it can be, put
Mhm.
investment into it, make sure it looks the way it needs to look, make sure it functions the way it needs to function, and that it is a tool to build your business on.
Yeah. Now, when you think about like the look of a site, a lot of people can get kind of hung up in the details. I'm sure you've probably seen that over and over and over again where an author just like or really anybody building a website, they almost get paralyzed to
Yeah.
set the website live, you know? Do you have any advice for somebody who's kind of dealing with that, like analysis paralysis and perfection
Mm,
paralysis around their website?
yeah.
Do you have any words of advice for someone?
Yeah, it's a challenge. A lot of people that are, very good at what they do, they've gotten there for a reason,
Yeah.
because they do pay attention to details. And and so a website can be incredibly challenging to get launched. It really can.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I try to encourage folks that um, the 80-20 rule applies here.
Mm.
Like, get it to 80%. 80%
Yeah.
is good enough for launch. A website should never be done. A website is a constant work in progress.
Yeah.
And so in terms of getting it launched and out there, um, do what you got to do, work on the details, but if it's 80%, and most of the time websites wind up being in 90% category, and
Yeah.
people even get locked up there. Like, launch it, get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Until you start marketing and promote it, it's not like you're going to get a ton of traffic. Like, when you,
It takes
like I
time for
just
that kind
said,
of
yeah,
organic
it
stuff to
takes
show up.
time for that to happen in the first place. So
Yeah.
better to get it actually out there so Google can see that, oh, you do have a new website out there, and we can do all that SEO stuff
Yeah.
that needs to be done for the basics so Google even knows you have a website. But early on, you're not going to get a ton of traffic
Yeah.
unless you're specifically sending people to the website.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 80% is my recommendation. To go 80% is okay to
Yeah.
launch. And then let's keep refining, let's keep building, let's keep adjusting. A website is never done.
Yeah.
It's a constant work in progress. You're going to add new pages, you're going to add new content, you're going to take content down that after a while you looked at it and went, hey, I don't like that anymore. Or
Mhm.
it doesn't seem like people are resonating with that. Great, change it.
Yeah.
It's those things are all, with the tools we use to build websites now, editing and changing websites are easy to do. So get your
Yeah.
main branding. I think some of this, and too, about the branding side of things. Like, if you're gonna have a logo, like, get your logo, have a logo in place, like, work on
Mhm.
that kind of branding and colors. If you have a font style that you want, like, figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
I think that's good to get that done.
Yeah.
So, especially if you're gonna then have a book and all that, you want to have all that stuff in place to go for that. But having that basic branding set up, I think, is an important piece of that. And to me, the one thing that gets missed a lot too, for websites, as in particular in the speaker, author, coach, consulting
Mhm.
category, is professional images, and at
Mm.
least some, one or two, a few professional videos.
Yeah.
So those things are harder to get. Those do take a little bit more time. You can launch a website without that.
Right.
So I would put that in the 20%, get a website launched out there. But on the list of things to do fairly quickly is, let's get some professional images taken. Um, if you are a speaker or something like that, or you're a consultant, get some action images, you out doing the thing you do. Hire a
Mhm.
photographer, pay for the photographer. um, get a handful of professional videos. Most videos don't need to be professional. You can use your phone or a Zoom recording or whatever for a
Yeah,
lot of video content.
right.
you know but if you want to have a stinger video or a promotional video on the homepage, you know get hire a professional. It costs more money to do that, but get something nice.
Well, and
And
an
that will
important
really help.
thing an important thing here is, if they're hiring somebody like you to build their website, you can't make their website look amazing without some of those assets. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
can't
makes a big difference.
essentially, you can't pull stuff out of thin air for somebody.
Yes.
It's a joint process with an author,
Yes.
of the author saying, "These are my top headshots that I like. This one I definitely want to
Mhm.
use. These are other ones I like, but I'll leave it up to your discretion.
Yeah.
Um, here are a few clips of my video stuff. You work your magic to make the website look good with this material."
Yes.
But when somebody doesn't give you much to work with, there's only so much a web designer can do for you to kind of
Right.
create something out of thin
Yes.
air for you on your behalf.
Yeah.
So I think that's an
Yeah.
important thing, because a lot of times I've seen it, not always, but a lot of times people, they have it in their mind that, "Oh, I'm hiring somebody to do this for me."
Yeah.
But it's so, when it's a personal brand, you have to be very intimately involved in the process. You
Yep.
can't just be hands off. It has to be a
No.
joint
No,
venture.
no, no. Yes.
Yeah. I love what you said too about, if it's 80% there, put it live.
Mhm.
It's very different for authors with their book, because you really want it to be as perfect as possible.
Yes. Yes.
And odds are you're probably still going to find a few typos or weird, glitchy things that
For
50 people
sure.
who edited your book missed.
Yeah.
But we're always trying to get our book to be as good as possible before we hit
Yeah.
publish, because it
Yep.
is hard to bring back a printed book that's in the
Yeah,
hands of
yeah.
somebody all over the world. So it's
Absolutely.
important. It's important, I think, just to have that mindset shift that your website can easily be updated.
Yep.
And if it's not quite 100%, but it's good enough, you're missing out by waiting. It's
Yes.
to your benefit to be found on search engines and in AI searches and all the
Yes.
things, to
Right.
give those resources something to know about you, you know?
Mhm.
So, and for those of whether there, I've seen authors on all ends of the spectrum that are perfectionists, that
Yes.
are, pretty laid back. But if you kind of tend to fall in that perfectionist angle in any tendency in your life, you probably need to hear that if your site is 80% there, go ahead and set it
Yep.
live. It's very
Yep.
easy to make those updates. And
Yeah.
you should be making updates on a regular basis, right? I mean,
Right.
a website that
Yes.
sits untouched for years doesn't look good, correct?
No. No, no. Yeah, it's meant to be updated. It's meant to be changed, and to show what's going on, where you're at in the process. Like, there's so many different ways you can create engagement on your websites. And yeah, if you want to make sure your book's nearly 100% perfect, awesome. Talk about that process. Share with your audience what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you're going about it and why that matters to you and what you're trying to bring to them and the problems you're trying to solve. And so, if you thought you were going to launch your book in 6 months and it took an extra 6 months to launch it, so what? That's
Hmm.
all. That's more time to build content and build audience
Yeah.
and create engagement, and do those things, and you're going to feel great with your book because you
Hmm.
waited.
Yeah.
Um, you're not gonna be sweating that about your website. It
Yeah.
just isn't the same criteria.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, are there any kind of big, no-nos or, pieces of advice and things to avoid when people are building out a website for a personal brand that, you've kind of seen these kinds of folks tend to make these mistakes? I'll just throw one in that I've seen a lot of people
Sure.
do. You already kind of
Okay.
hinted at it before, was a lot of people won't put like the email sign up on their website.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's
Yes.
like, oh, it's this beautiful online brochure, but you make it so difficult for people to take a next step with you. I mean,
Yep.
even just like a contact, form or anything like that. Sometimes people don't make that obvious or easy across the board, but especially for like a
Yes.
personal brand. But I've
Yep.
seen that where it's like, well, let your website work for you 24/7 like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
But if it's going to work for you, you have to have you have to tell people what you want them to do next with you, because there are some authors
Yep.
that are like, I don't want to interact with people. I just want to sit here and write my, New York Times bestseller. And I think a lot of the big famous authors that have been writing for 40, 50 years, they can maybe get away with that a little bit better.
Yeah. Sure they
Um,
can.
but if your book is in any way associated with some sort of other offer, coaching, speaking, trainings, online
Mhm.
courses, like you said, what's the next step? Well, one easy step is get free resources or sign up for my newsletter to get XYZ on a regular basis.
Yep.
That to me seems like a no-brainer, and I see a lot of authors miss that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit with authors because they're so connected to the content
Mhm.
and trying to offer that they're not thinking like a marketer,
Mm.
right? They're not
Yeah.
they're not they're not understanding that yes, you are the expert and you're the authority,
Yeah.
but what you're building with that is a business.
Yeah.
Like you're building a business off of your expertise. And so that's the thing that a lot of people miss. They become afraid to even send an email. Like, well, if I do get them on
Mm.
my email list, I don't want to email people too much because they're going to get annoyed.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're not.
No.
They signed up for your email list because they like you. They want to hear from you. They want to engage
Yeah.
with you. And so getting over misconceptions of what it means to get people on an email list and send them an email.
Mhm.
And again, when you're authority around the content, as long as you're providing the content that your people want,
Mhm.
you're not going to have any problems. You could, oh well, I mean, send them once a month, great. But if your content's good, really good, maybe you could do once a week. I mean,
Yeah.
we know our friend Greg that he's got one or two emails that go every week
Yeah.
and new content that he's done. It's very engaging. So there's really not a set criteria. So, but it's changing that mindset from I'm a content expert to I'm building a business. And what are
Mhm.
all the pieces of building a business that I need to do and really think about? And how am I going to engage with my people, my tribe,
Yeah.
to continue to build this business? I'm going to provide value. I'm going to help solve problems.
Mhm.
Uh, you're going to do that in a lot of ways through simple things, free things, paid things.
Mhm.
Um, but you really have to put on the business. I'm a business now,
Yeah.
and put on a business owner mindset and think about things like marketing and engagement and how are you going to monetize this
Yeah.
and really build it out that way. So that comes up a lot. I think just being willing to have those calls to action on the website
Mhm.
and having thought about, okay, what should I even say to get someone to sign up for my newsletter? Do I just have a thing that says sign up for my newsletter that I randomly send?
Yeah.
Or Is this like, hey, join our tribe and become a part of this community where we talk about
Yeah.
these problems and we share these things and you get to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And right. So even thinking about how, what is it you are building around the community and the problem or the message you're trying to deliver and helping people really engage with that um, that way. So
Yeah.
that is the thing I think that gets missed often with this is the throw on the business owner mindset a little bit
Mhm.
uh, to really monetize your content all the way around and realize that you at the bottom at the end of the day you're a marketer. You got to market and you got to sell.
Mhm. Yep.
And a lot of people are like selling's a bad word, and it's like that's how you make money. You
Mhm.
have to sell things. And guess what? People buy things. People love to buy. So that's the other side of the selling. People want to buy your stuff because
Yeah.
they like you, you're solving problems for them, you're engaging with them. So don't if you don't like the word selling, think of think of making things easy for people to buy.
Mhm. Yeah.
'Cause you are encouraging the buying process and letting people buy from you.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really a key piece that gets missed.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think, there's so many people that are just so yeah, sales almost feels like this dirty word that you don't wanna
Yes.
talk about, but also so many authors gauge their success by how many books they've sold.
Right.
So, the reality is you really do need to have this more holistic focus of your brand,
Hmm.
and that's why the conversation for your author website really it's not about the book, it's about the author, and it's potentially starts way sooner than you ever thought so that
Yep.
you can really start to position yourself as that author. Um, one of the things I struggle with, I still haven't figured out the answer to this one yet. And so I'm the student here listening to you and what we just said of like the personal brand website needs to be set up sooner. I currently have my website connected largely to my business because so far
Yeah.
the only book I have out as of recording this podcast is about digital marketing.
Yep.
And so it aligned very well to be part of my company website. It's a page
Sure.
on a larger website,
Sure.
which I've seen a lot of people do if they've got
Hmm.
the tie-in, the topic
Yeah.
matches.
Yeah.
However, if you have a personal topic, let's say I'm writing my book about my journey through infertility and IVF.
Yeah.
That is a completely separate topic.
So different.
And
Yeah.
in that case, I probably would say, okay, I need to at least build out something that
Yeah.
speaks to who Valerie Morris is separately. Um, but big picture, I'm kind of skirting on this. So my big question though is when someone's thinking about a personal brand, what they call their personal brand or what they're pointing people to on their website, it's easy to say like, oh, well, your book is called We're All Ears. So you could say we'reallears.com. It redirects over to the main personal brand website that I set up.
Yeah.
But in my case, Valerie Morris is also some lady who apparently is kind of famous and is the mom of one of the Destiny's Child singers. I don't need that's how much I'm in the mix of pop culture. So I personally have never actually bought a personal domain for like valeriemorris.com because it's
uh,
already taken, it's super
yeah. Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
even think it's being used, but it was claimed probably by this famous person's mom. I don't even know if
Yeah.
she's actually famous, but she shows up on the Google searches. So,
Right. Right.
what advice would you have to someone where it's like maybe their name is John Smith and
Yes.
johnsmith.com was taken a long time ago?
Long time ago.
What do you typically tell authors that are trying to figure out what kind of domain should I get for myself and
Yeah.
uh and to put out there to the world because you want a domain to be easy and snappy and
Yes. Yes.
memorable. So, yeah, any tips there?
Yeah, definitely a challenge, this comes up with domains in general, even for like a business name and that kind of stuff, if there's a similar business name out there and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this. With an author, it might be easy enough just to put in a middle initial,
Mm,
right? Or a
yeah,
middle name or a middle initial. And that's enough difference, to make it work.
yeah.
Um, and what you see even like on social media channels where someone has similar names, you have to add a modifier. So um on social media sometimes it's John Smith official or
Mhm.
the John Smith. So add a modifier of some type to the beginning or the end of the name,
Yeah,
um that makes it a little bit different. It's still easy to remember, and people, if people search your name Valerie Morris and they came across the other Valerie Morris, they'd be like, wait, I don't think this is the Valerie Morris I was looking for.
yeah,
So they might have to do a little more searching to get to your site, but yeah, use a middle initial, use a modifier,
yeah,
so that it's different enough so that if there is someone else out there that's already got it, um, you're still going to be able to build that. And
yeah,
Google doesn't really see any difference with a modifier or not a modifier in terms of when someone's searching.
yeah.
So if you don't have to put, if you're searching Valerie Morris, you don't have to put the Valerie Morris to find the ValerieMorris.com. you know if you search Valerie Morris, the ValerieMorris.com is still going to come up.
Mm,
And so, the modifier is just so that you can actually have a domain.
yeah,
What you put on the website, how you build the content, that's going to determine, what Google, is going to come up. It could be a totally different name other than ValerieMorris.com.
right.
But if the right content is there, that domain will come up on a Valerie
Yeah,
Morris search. So
wow.
it's really about building the right content. The domain is not life or death. Get it as simple and easy as you can, of course. And again, that's part of why you should do it earlier rather than later. Like, you're thinking of a book or thinking of your brand, go try to get the domain. Buy a few domains, um,
Mhm.
and hold them. They're $20 a year or something like that. It's not expensive. So if you have ideas, go see what domains are available. Try to snag a few, and then you can make that decision, later. But yeah,
Yeah,
some modifier works.
nice. Well, Peter, if people want to get more from you and kind of dive
Yeah,
deeper into their author websites or they need an author website, where's the easiest place for them to connect with you?
yeah. Jump on our website. I'm the digital marketing dude, so you could search digital marketing dude. My website would come up, dmdude.com. You can connect with me there. If you go to our contact page, you can book on my calendar and schedule a meeting. Happy to talk to anybody. We got tons of content on our blog all about websites and marketing and all of that there. And yeah, we've got some sample websites for speakers, author, coaches, consultants on the website as well. They can check out. But yeah, dmdude.com.
Sweet. Well, Peter, thanks so much for sharing today and
Yeah.
giving such amazing advice for all of us who are every day figuring out how to best represent our personal brand. So, if you're listening here today and you have been thinking about, oh, I got to do something, I got to do something, don't let another day go by. Go at least do one little piece to your online website, your online presence, and your website is a great place to start for that. So, thanks again, Peter.
Thank you, Valerie.